Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video tutorial, I will do an example on subject and behavior subject. So let's go to coding. First, we have home component. We have another two components. That's called one. Another one is two. So we have to initialize values from home component, and we have to pass to service, that is data service, and from data service we have to map to component 1 and component 2. So let's dive into code. So on the left hand side we have home component. There we have two input fields, one for subject, another one for behavior subject. So the idea behind this is whenever we input to this input field, so uh, we have to map that value to component 1 and component 2 for subject. For behavior subject we have to do the same to by passing that data to component 1 and component 2. Now we have to create subject and behavior subject. Subject source is equal to new subject. We have to create an instance of subject of type string. For subject, we don't need to initialize anything. Now we have to create a method to set subject value. We have to pass a value from home component to this method. Through this, we have to initialize our subject with next method. We have imported our service data service. Right now we have to initialize our subject. We have to pass value input 1. We have to declare click event and pass input value through the help of click event to data service. Right now we have to get that value in one component. Here we did a mistake by setting the value from component 1. Actually we have to do this in our home component. We have to import our service, that is data service. Right now we have to subscribe to that subject. dot subscribe. We have declared a local variable subdata, so we have to initialize this with our response from the subject, and then we have to show it in the front end by interpolation method. Whenever we write something here, before this we have to initialize this method in ng-on-init. So whenever data is updated or added in the home component, it will be automatically rendered in the component 1. Let's say hello. So we are getting hello in the component 1 as a subject value. Let's do for component 2 as well. We have to do the same thing. We have to write the same method in component 2 and initialize. Also we have to create a variable of type string initialized, and we have to call this method on ng-on-init, and we need to import our service data service. Bind to the HTML. So right now it will be shown on both components. Let's write hello. So the same value are executed in both component. Right now we have to do the same for behavior subject. So the difference is only that we have to initialize with some value. Let's create an instance of behavior subject. Subject. Behavior subject of type string. So we have to initialize it with some value, otherwise it will not work. So that's the difference between subject and behavior subject. Public behavior subject, it will be of type observable. Set behavior subject value data string this dot behavior subject source dot next data. Let's go to the home component. Save behavior subject data data string this dot data service dot set behavior subject data. Let's create click event for behavior subject. Create a variable input true, and we have to pass it truth here. So it's now done. We have to subscribe it in component 1 and component 2 to get the result. Subscribe to behavior subject data sorry data service dot behavior subject dot subscribe response set could be up any. We have to pass it to local variable, pass the response to local variable and bind it in HTML. We have to do the same, and before we have to initialize it ng on init. Then we have to do the same for component 2. Create the same method. Here we just have to create a local variable and bind it with our HTML. Save all. Hello from subject. So here you can see we are getting subject value hello from behavior subject. We are getting it in only one component because we forgot to call it from ng on init. Hello from behavior subject. So right now we are getting values of behavior subject in both component. For subject we have already checked, but let's check again. We are getting the same result for subject. So that's all about subject and behavior subject. Thank you so much for watching this video tutorial.